So here we are, and our app might look something like this, where we have a recycler view and then some listings in our recycler view. Now, I have this in some fragments, which you might have it differently, but this should still work. So some of my syntax might be slightly different because I have it in a fragment from an activity, but not a lot. Don't worry about that. Different syntax. The things that I will show you will should still be the same. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to click on one of these objects, and then it's going to take us to listings info activity where it will show us all the information about this listing. First thing that I want to do is I want to open layout, and I want to make sure that I go to my row view. And on my row view, I will click on the constraint view. Yours is not going to be called parent view. Yours will probably look like this, constraint layout. Don't click on card view, click on constraint layout. And for constraint layout, call it parent layout. It's just easier to sort of remember this term. Then we're going to go to our market holder view. And in market holder view, I want to find that layout. So I will go ahead and do this. I'll just type it out again. So what's going to happen? You're going to create a private variable of type constraint layout. So let me do that again. Private constraint layout. As soon as you see this, it should be Android X constraint layout.widget. Autocomplete that and then just call it layout. And then next, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to say this dot layout equals, I'm going to find this layout by view. And that's what we just called it. So all we're doing is sort of getting a hold of this row, this box right here that has the ID parent layout. So in holder, we're just saying the layout for this holder is found with the parent layout. What that's going to let us do is that's going to let us know when we clicked on that square. You're also going to need a get layout getter. So you can just put get, and you'll notice that you're going to get layout, constraint layout, so on. You click enter, and it's going to create it for you. So great, we were able to get the layout. So now that we have that, we're going to go to our market adapter. And in on by view holder, we're going to create a listener. So we're going to say when anyone clicks on this layout, then do something. So remember, there's many different holders, and the adapter holds all the holders. So what this code does is for every holder, we're going to do something. First, we're going to set the text, sure, and then we're going to say holder dot get layout. We just created that getter dot on click listener, or sorry, set on click listener. Enter, and then we're going to do new dot view dot on click listener, and then just enter. So let it autocomplete. You don't have to write all of this stuff. Let me do that again. In here in the parentheses, I do new dot view dot on click listener. Sorry, view on click listener, enter, and it fills it in. So perfect. Now this listener is waiting for things to happen. And one of the things that we can say is, one of the things that could happen is a click. So what are we going to do when we click on this? Well, for now, I'm just going to system.out.println. I'm going to print yay. And then we're going to just print the mdata.get. We're going to get the index, which is the position, dot get title. So all we're going to do is going to say yay, press title, so that we know that we're clicking on the correct stuff. Okay, let's rerun our app now that we've created those few things. if you ever get this error, you can go ahead and clean your project and then try to rerun your project. It should be okay. Sometimes things get a little wonky there. So go ahead and clean it, run it again. Looks good. So it's going to install this one more time. The app is coming through here. We go to our fragment. We click on that. And we say here, yay, never read it. LOL. So here's the the title that we have, because we got that title. If we click on the other one, like new, don't miss it. So it looks like things are going well, and we're clicking on the correct one, and it's printing what we want. Let me go to my holder. Sorry, I'm going to go to my market view fragment. For you, it might be your market activity, whatever it might be called. And you're going to populate this from the server, but I'm just populating it on the go. So I'm creating some listings on the go. And something that I've done is I think I've mixed up my titles here. So I'm gonna go and I'm going to say this, and then I am going to get the actual title and I'll put it here at the end. Perfect. And then I'll do that as well. So I have very simple listings right now. Yours are going to look different from this. So again, because my implementation is incomplete, then my listing constructors are going to be quite different from yours. But I'm going to be creating one more listing here to show you that I am able to add that. So I'll say all listings add, and then new listing. You don't have to do this part. You obviously won't have this part. So I just want to show you that the listing that I'm creating and adding right now will show on the recycler view. So we're going to say new headphones, or sorry, description goes first. So brand new, and then we're going to say 300 is the price, and we are saying new headphones. Great. So by doing this, I will test that my recycler view is working correctly, and even if I add a new listing, um, then I will be able to click on it and it will print what I want. So I'll go to my market view. Market view is now populated with a new one. I click on that, new headphones, CS book, new shoes, CC right here, perfect. So now what we want to do is when we click on that, we actually want to make an intent. We're going to go from one screen to another screen. To do that, we want to make an activity. We're going to make an empty activity. So we go to activity, we go to empty activity, and I'm going to call that listings info activity. Listings info activity. And then we're going to click on finish. Perfect. Add. Great. So we're going to start adding this info activity over here. Things are syncing up. Trying to make sure that things are okay. It's going to ask me to import that. Then I'm going to say enter, import it, and I've got my listings info activity. What am I going to do with that? Well, the first thing that we're going to go over is some layout stuff. So listings info activity over here, we're going to put some layout options so you guys sort of understand a little bit about how layout works. I'm going to have a few buttons, and so will you. I'm going to have one button which is going to be open listing. Then I'm going to have another button which is going to be close listing. Then I will have one more button which will be bid, probably place bid. I will have some edit text to be able to like get some some user info, and I want to display some information as well. So it's going to be quite a few different different components here. So let me drag some out. We'll do 3 here, and then we're going to do text, and we're going to do plain text. Great. And that should be it. So what's going to happen here? I want to show all the options for a listing here, and I want to also be able to place a bid on a listing. So if I'm correct, and I look at the design document, we should have a price. So I'm just going to call this price. I'm going to put price here. We should have a description, quite ugly if you ask me what I'm about to do, description, and then we're going to put a title, but the title should probably go higher up. So we're going to do title, perfect. Here is going to be bid amount, and then we have our 3 buttons to be able to do 3 different things. You might add things to this, especially if you go ahead and use your creative on this screen, then you'll be able to sort of change this around. But as we see here, we have okay user interface. How can we constrain this correctly though? I think I want to anchor it somewhere. I want to make sure that things are relative to one component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my bid amount be sort of my anchor for other parts. So my bid amount, what I will do is I will center it in the parent vertically, and then I will center it horizontally as well. And usually if you can find one anchor like this, then it will help with the other components as well. So maybe we want this one up here, this one up here, and this one up here. So what am I going to do? I'm going to then constrain this one. I'm going to center it. So center it in the parent horizontally. I will center this one horizontally in the parent, and then I will center this one horizontally in the parent as well. So they're all really nice and neat, but then they need a vertical alignment. So how do they know where to be vertically? I'm going to click and drag down. So I click this button right here, and I just drag down to the top of the completely centered component. And it says 0 here. I want more like 32. So you want to do it in multiples of 8 is generally done. And then here we grab this one from the bottom and we just go to the top of the next one. And again, we probably want to give it spacing of 32. And then for the title, you want to do the same thing. You grab it to the top of the next one, like that. And then you give it a spacing of 32. So no matter what kind of phone that I have now, it will be centered in the middle, and then we'll have nice spacing between all of them. Now for this one, you see how we have 3 buttons at the top? What I should most likely do is center one. So I will center one horizontally in the parent. And then I will just do it to the top of the screen. For the top of the screen, I'm going to give it a spacing of 32. And generally, you can also go with 16. No, not 162, 16. 16 would probably be good. So what do we do here? Well, we're going to just center this one, and then we're going to give it 16 as well. And then we're going to click on this one and constrain it there, and then give it 16. Perfect. Now, it still looks off, and this one doesn't have constraints to the top. So what I will do is I'll try to do the same thing as before. I'll just go to the top, give it a constraint of 16, and then go to the top, and then give it a constraint of 60. So now they are all happy and they're all constrained correctly, and I'll be able to place a bid, open, close, so on. So now that I have this information and pretty straightforward, and there's nothing fancy here, just some labels and some text, then I will want to be able to get all of the references for these buttons and create methods for each one of these buttons, but you already know how to do that. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to change the title and the description. So I'm going to go to listings info activity and I will create some buttons for that. So I'm going to say private text. Oh, sorry, I always forget the type of the labels. So text view. Let me make sure that I'm doing that correctly. Yep, text view. And I'm going to say description and then private text view. I'm going to say title. And then on create, I will try to find those, but I can't do that yet because I haven't given them IDs. So we'll go here and I will say ID, info, title, perfect, and description is going to be info description. Say sure, yes. Okay, info description and info title. Then I'm going to go here to listings activity and I'm going to say description equals uh, uh, view. Sorry. Uh, I always forget how to do the activity ones because they're different from the fragment ones. Oh, you just do find by view, right? So we do find by view, r dot id dot, and then we have info description. So we found that one, and then we have uh, title equals find by view, r dot id dot info title. Perfect. And now I have my two text views that I'll be able to change the messages for. So I'm just going to look at, yep, I think we're all good here. And then in here, what I will now want to do, again, the whole point of what we started is that we wanted to click on one of the these holders, and then we want to go to a page that shows you that. So let's go to the adapter. And then here, instead of just printing EA, we're going to create an intent. And then I'm going to call it intent. So an intent is going to let me be able to go from one screen to another. And I will say new intent, get base context. So from here, you will be able to do get base context, and then you'll be able to do listing info activity dot class, and then you'll do start activity, and then you'll do intent. And what this is going to do is going to send you to the next screen. The reason why I have this red right here is because I am in a fragment as opposed to a view, an activity. So for you, this code should work just fine if you're in an activity. If you're not in an activity, if you're in a fragment, then you're going to have to do a couple of different things. First, you're going to have to get the base context. So you're going to have to say get the activity, and from your market adapter, it's pretty hard to be able to get that. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to say your context, and you're going to import that, import the context class. You're going to create this private variable called context. You're going to take that in. So then you're going to say this dot context equals context. And you might have to do this as well if for yours if you're in an activity. So I would suggest that you follow this, you follow this, you follow that. And so now that we have a way to get the context, we're going to go to the place that creates the adapters. The adapters here, we're going to say, if you're in an activity, you can just type this. If you are not in an activity, you're going to have to do get context. Now that we go to the adapter, we go to the context, we can do context here, and then we can go context dot start activity. Okay, so if you are in an activity, you might have to do this as well. You can double check. What we did was, because we are in an adapter, we don't know what the context is. The context is a view. You can only get a context from a view. So that can be either from a fragment or from the view itself, and you have to pass it in, and then you can use it. So what's going to happen is if we go over here, click here. I'm going to go to my marketplace. I'm going to click that. And then this is going to show up. So I was able to go to the next screen, but my information doesn't show. So I'm going to do one more thing to be able to make that show. I'm going to go back to my adapter, and I'm going to say I want to pass in some information. And this is called an extra. So I'm going to say intent.put extra. And I'm going to give it the name title. And then I'm going to say what the title is. So it's mdata.get the listing at the current position, and then .get title. And I also want the description, so I'm going to do intent.put extra, and I'm going to say it's kind of like a hash map. I'm going to put the description, and then the value for that description is going to be get the object at this position, and then get description. So as we're traveling across screens, we want to send some information, and you're able to send that information with the object that takes you from screen to screen. You can put some extra information in that. So we're going from this screen to the next screen, which is listings info activity. And in listings info activity, we want to be able to get that information and then set it in on create. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do string description equals here get intent dot get string extra, and I'm going to get the title, the description actually. So what does this mean? Well, the extra that you put here with the name description and this value, you will be able to get that one in this other view by getting the extra with that same name. And then we have to do also string info equals get intent get string extra title. Okay, so now I'm able to get that information, and what do I want to do? Well, I want to say this dot description dot set text to desk, and then this dot info dot this dot title set text, and then it's going to should be title. So instead of calling it info, we should probably call it title. Okay, now that I have done that, every time that I open that listings info activity, I will get the information from the thing that I clicked on, and then it will show me that information in the new screen. And I go to my marketplace, I click on this, look at that. Here's the title and here's the information. Click on the back button, new CS book, never read it, new shoes, so on. And my UI is good to go. And I am now ready to finish off my last few requests for the server, and I am all done, close, or almost.